Namaste, my dear friends. Welcome you all to this transformational meditation class on the art and practice of mindfulness. Let us just wait for a few minutes for our friends to join. And meanwhile, I wish to convey my best wishes and every possible positive things for you all. Yesterday, we celebrated, or rather, we observed International Happiness Day. But happiness is not something that you need to celebrate on any particular day. It's something that you must practice or you must seek within you every moment of your life. So let us call today also as a happiness day and wish you all a real wonderful happiness day. When you find your happiness inside, that is not just a happiness day, but it is a happiness moment for each one of you, moment by moment, every moment of life. So today's class, the format is very similar. We will have a presentation on the art and practice of mindfulness, and then we have some question answers sharing, and then we have some practical meditation, guided meditation, as well as the regular Anapanasati meditation with which we close the class for today. So really looking forward to sharing with you all about this very important aspect of mindfulness. So let us begin with the presentation. So once again, welcome you all, dear friends. The art and practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness, the practice of mindfulness is actually an art as well as a science. So let's learn something about the art and practice of mindfulness. So today's transformational meditation class and the history of transformational meditation classes. So many years ago, we started these transformational meditation classes at the QLU headquarters here in Hyderabad, and it's happening every Sunday. And just only from the last 1 year, due to the pandemic, we have shifted this into online classes. Else, these were live classes that were happening at the Quantum Life University global headquarters at Hyderabad, Banjara Hills. And we also used to share those classes and make it available live on Facebook Live and also sometimes YouTube while these classes were going on. But now the entire format has been shifted to the online. And in a way, that's a blessing because it enables many more people to really connect to this than it was possible in the physical format. But we also look forward to resuming the physical classes sometime in the near future. So let's go ahead with this class. My deepest gratitude to my mentors, Dr. Newton and Dr. Lakshmi, founders of QLU and Life Foundation, whom I met in the year 1994. And it's been more than 26 years since I met them, 27 years almost. And it's been an amazing journey and learning and growing and together manifesting these wonderful vision of Dr. Newton, which is Quantum Life University. So what exactly is mindfulness? We hear a lot about mindfulness these days, and it's become another buzzword in spirituality. You usually find a lot of jargon that is thrown around in different fields. Like computers, they have their own jargon. If you go into the medical field, they have a lot of jargon. And any of the sciences, they have some jargon. And similarly, spiritual science is not an exception. It also has its own jargon, and it has some specific terms and some more often used terms. And mindfulness is one of the most commonly used terms nowadays. And it has become so popular around the world. So we learn about what mindfulness is, what mindfulness is not, and also some of the myths around mindfulness, and also an important aspect of what is the difference between mindfulness and meditation. Often we hear these terms being used interchangeably as if mindfulness and meditation mean exactly the same thing, but it's not true. They're not the same. There is a difference between mindfulness and meditation, and we'll look at what is the difference between mindfulness and meditation. And also, when someone uses the term mindfulness meditation, so what are they actually trying to refer to? What is mindfulness meditation? If mindfulness and meditation are two different things, then how can you have something as a mindfulness meditation? So mindfulness is the basic human ability to be fully present and aware of where we are and what we are doing. In very, very simple words, this is how you can describe mindfulness. The human ability to be fully present and aware of where we are and what we're doing. So that is mindfulness. So what is it that prevents us from being mindful? What prevents us from being mindful? We, in our daily lives, we get completely overwhelmed by what's going on around us, and then we become reactive instead of responsive. Again, this is another thing that we hear very often. We hear that we need to react, we need to respond to situations and not react, while most of the time we are reacting to situations, whereas we need to respond. But how exactly can we respond instead of react? And that is by being mindful. But what is it that is stopping us from being mindful? It is the feeling of being completely overwhelmed by what is happening around. And that is what pushes us into a reactive state of mind as opposed to a responsive and aware state of mind. When you're aware, you're responsive. When you're unaware, then you become reactive. It's a very simple thing to understand. Awareness is the key. So we need to develop awareness, and we also need to look at what is it that is stopping us from becoming this. So one of the things to become overwhelmed is we also try to escape or deny the situations and circumstances. The more we try to escape and the more we deny, the more deeper we get into that feeling of getting overwhelmed and completely surrounded by all the issues that are happening, and our mind and focus completely goes into those things, and it goes away from the task on hand, and therefore we are not able to be mindful. So the way it happens is we become overwhelmed by what is happening, then we try to avoid those things, we try to escape, and in the process we either escape it, we deny it, or we actually try to avoid it. So these are the different defense mechanisms to deal with this overwhelming situation that we find ourselves in. And whenever we do this, we go deeper and deeper into that. and we end up becoming reactive instead of creative. So instead of responsive. So what exactly now is the solution? How can we shift from being reactive to responsive? We need to just turn the things around by first understanding what mindfulness is and practicing mindfulness at all levels. So now that you've been clear about what is it that prevents us from being mindful, let's have a recap of this. First, we become overwhelmed by what is happening around us. Second, we try to escape, avoid, or deny the situations which are causing us to become overwhelmed. And in the process, we go deeper and deeper into those situations because avoidance always brings more of what we are trying to avoid. This is the universal rule. So then we end up becoming reactive. We operate from our fears instead of from our awareness. We operate from unawareness instead of awareness. We operate from fears instead of our strengths. And as a result, things start going out of control for us. And everything feels like it's happening around us, and we don't seem to be having any control on what is happening. And we don't end up having any control on what's happening in our lives. So the way to do this is we just have to turn it around. If you look at English language, the word reactive is an acronym. It's exactly the same letters. If you just rearrange the order, it becomes creative. So we just have to turn around reactive and become creative. And what do we mean by becoming creative? How do you become creative? You actually practice mindfulness. It's as simple as that. And that's why this becoming responsive and creative is linked to mindfulness. And to go away from being reactive and becoming creative and responsive, you need to practice mindfulness. And the first step to do this is that you need to recognize that you are the sole creator of your own reality. There's no one else, nothing else, which is creating your reality. So once you recognize that you are the sole creator of your own reality, then you actually start becoming creative. Because to become creative, you need to accept that you are the creator. So that's the first and important step. So we'll go into what we call as the 7 sutras of mindfulness. What are these 7 sutras which will help us to understand what mindfulness is and what are the different aspects together? When we practice everything, then we can become more and more mindful. So before that, I'll talk about what they talk about as mindfulness and mindfulness meditation, and what is mindfulness meditation and what mindfulness meditation is, what it is not. Buddha said mindfulness is eat while you eat, walk while you walk. Whatever you're doing, put your 100% attention and focus on it. That is mindfulness. In Buddha's Eightfold Path, you have the different things that you need to practice in order to live a fulfilled and aware life, a life in which you can evolve and grow spiritually and rise above suffering, because the Eightfold Path was the answer to the finding that Buddha had, the very profound finding that the world is full of suffering, but there is a way out of the suffering, and it was Buddha's way of coming out of the suffering, which is the Eightfold Path. So this Eightfold Path consists of right views, right aspirations, right livelihood, right speech, right conduct, right effort, right mindfulness, and right meditation. So, as you can see, Buddha, who was one of the greatest spiritual scientists who has ever walked upon this planet Earth, he has laid out this eightfold path in which mindfulness and meditation are two different things. So let's look at the difference between mindfulness and meditation, because a lot of times you will find these terms being used interchangeably as if they mean the same thing. So you should not get confused with this. Mindfulness is putting your entire mind and focus and awareness onto what you're doing at that point of time, and not allowing your mind to drift into anything else, neither into the past nor into the future. Be completely grounded in the present moment and completely focused on the activity at hand, which is what Buddha meant by saying, eat while you eat, walk while you walk. So when you're walking, you should not be doing anything else like talking on the cell phone, thinking of what happened yesterday, thinking of what you're going to do tomorrow, or worrying about what is going to happen a year later. All that is not mindfulness. Mindfulness is your entire focus, awareness on the walking at that point of time. That is mindfulness. Now, what is meditation then? In mindfulness, there is a use of the mind. You're not completely keeping the mind aside. You're not silencing the mind. You're not making the thoughts to zero. You may think, but you think only on what you are doing at that present moment, and everything related to the focus of the work that you're doing in that present moment. That is mindfulness. And meditation is completely no mind state. That means no thoughts at all whatsoever. Just focus on your breath and completely let go of any thoughts. And even if you get thoughts, then you must remember that you are at that point of time focusing on your breath and just observing the breath and being an observer of the breath. And slowly you will even lose awareness of the breath. So one might argue and say that yes, but isn't watching the breath or observing the breath also an activity or work that we are doing? And therefore, does that not constitute mindfulness? Now, that's a good question, because yes, the observation of the breath is something which you can term as an activity, and we can say that that activity is being done very mindfully. Your entire focus and awareness is on that activity of observing the breath, and therefore that is also mindfulness. But friends, you need to understand that that is not the end goal of meditation. It is only the starting point of meditation. The breath is your entry into the no mind state. Once you go into the no mind state, you will also lose awareness of the breath. The moment you go into deeper and deeper states of meditation, you will reach to a stage where you will not be even aware that you're breathing. The breathing will happen, but you will go into such a deep state, completely thought-free stage, and you are not even aware of the breath. And that's when the deeper, more significant, and much, much more powerful transformational experiences and inner experiences, the experiences of the altered states of consciousness, they begin to unfold in the meditation stage. So therefore, it's like when you're driving a car, you need to start the car, and there is an ignition key, and you crank the ignition key and the car starts. But once the car starts, you don't need to keep on cranking the ignition key. So the breath is exactly like that. It does the work of getting you into that deep state. It does the work of the observation of the breath, makes you to go into that deep state where the thoughts are silenced, the thoughts become zero, and then you go into the deep state where you go into the no mind, no thought stage. And once you're in that stage, you don't need to go to the awareness of the breath. Sometimes people ask in meditation, during the meditation sharing and experiences, that after some time I completely lost breath, but suddenly I remembered that I have to focus on the breath. And then I brought my mind back and started observing the breath. That's not necessary. That in fact, that is the fact that you completely went deeper and beyond the breath and you lost awareness of the breath. It's a very good sign that you entered into a very, very deep state of meditation. So, friends, this is just with respect to the topic of mindfulness and the confusion that exists between what mindfulness is and what meditation is. Again, I recapitulate this because it's an important thing for everyone to understand. The first, that mindfulness is using your mind and focusing completely on the activity at hand in the present moment and being completely focused in the present moment, completely focused on the activity that you're doing at that present time. So that is mindfulness. And the wonderful example for that is what Buddha's statement: mindfulness is eat while you eat, walk while you walk. Unfortunately, today's life, we try to do so many things at the same time. We are eating, and then we are also talking on the phone, and then we are trying to give direction to somebody, and then we are looking at something else that is happening, and again thinking of something that is going to happen tomorrow, or what we are planning out the things. So that is not mindfulness, and that doesn't help. And there's another thing that I wish to clarify. People pride themselves in so-called being multitasking, saying that I do many things at the same time. But the human mind can actually focus on only one thing at any given point of time. And what you're actually doing is you're dividing the time of the mind into multiple activities. By one moment focusing on something, the next moment focusing on something else, again the next moment you're shifting your focus to something, and that's how it is happening, with the result that every activity gets diluted, every activity, the focus of every activity gets diluted, and you will not be able to get things done with the same ability and the same intensity, the same success as you would if you had focused on that particular activity. And this is validated by thousands and thousands of spiritual masters since thousands of years, who have done every possible kind of sadhana, and they came to the conclusion that mindfulness is the key to success. And if you study the lives of some of the most successful people, they always work with total mindfulness. When they're involved in any activity, they completely shut off all other thoughts. They don't think about the past, they don't think about the future, and they don't think about any other activities or try to shift their activities or get distracted by any other activities. Again, going by the example of driving a car, when you're driving, you must focus on the road, not on things that are happening all around, on this side of the road, on that side of the road, and every other place, and other vehicles that are going in and out, but completely focus on the road and on what you're doing at that point of time, which is driving. That's the activity. So that is mindfulness. The most successful people and the most powerfully empowered people are the ones who practice mindfulness. And when it comes to meditation, meditation is the no mind state. Completely, there is no mind at all. And there's another word when you talk about mindfulness, which is focusing your mind on a single activity in that given point of time. And there is meditation, which is no mind at all. Then what is mindlessness? There is also something as mindlessness. We hear these terms saying this is mindless violence, mindless work. So, what exactly is mindless? Mindless is doing things with complete lack of awareness, no focus, no awareness. So neither are you using your deeper inner faculties, your inner abilities, which are awakened through the process of meditation, and neither are you doing nor are you doing the work with mindfulness, which is enabling you to focus on that particular activity and stay in the present moment and do it most efficiently. So that is what we call as mindlessness. So a lot of people, because of their unawareness and their fears, they're working mindlessly. So the first step is to shift from going from mindlessness to mindfulness. That's a big journey. That's the journey that we all need to make. Going from mindlessness to mindfulness. Mindlessness, I can call it as unawareness and fear driven, and mindfulness is completely centered and aware way of functioning. And meditation, of course, is the deeper aspect when you really connect to the essence of who you are. And that brings out so many other experiences, higher experiences, and inner guidance, intuition, and other things that start awakening through meditation, which comes only when you completely silence the mind. So let's now look at the 7 sutras of mindfulness. The first sutra: To be mindful is to give all your attention to the present moment. That is the first sutra. The present moment is the key. You must have heard time and again about you need to live in the moment, you need to be in the moment, and being in the moment is the key to everything. And that is being mindful. To be mindful is to give all your attention to the present moment. Like you see in the image here, like Arjuna, when all the students of the Guru Dronacharya were asked to take aim at a bird, so everyone could see a lot of things other than the bird also. They would see the bird and they would see so many other things. But Arjuna could see only the bird, and then when he focused a little more on that, he could see just the eye of the bird and nothing else. So that is mindfulness. The work on hand is to hit the target, and he could see only the target, focusing his entire awareness and attention only on the target and nothing else. And that is mindfulness. So Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita as well as the Mahabharata is a great example of mindfulness. He is one of the great, I could say, practitioners of mindfulness. So that, friends, is the first sutra. To be mindful is to give all your attention to the present moment. The second sutra, to be mindful is to become one with the activity that you're doing in the present. Whatever is your activity and whatever environment your activity entails, which involves the environment that is involved in your activity, you completely become one with that. And this is an image, a photograph that is taken at the Quantum Life University campus. Now just look at those cows. They have become one. Their activity is they're going down to drink water from the Saraswati Lake at the campus, and they're completely become one with their environment and with everything and with their activity of what they're doing. You can see that in each one of them, so focused, so calm, so graceful, and nothing else that bothers them, and completely trusting in the universe and completely surrendering to the universe and being one with that. That is the second sutra. To be mindful is to become one with the activity that you're doing in the present moment. So, friends, mindfulness is not just about being in the present moment, it is a lot more things. It is these seven sutras and probably many more things which you can further refine and understand with your own practice through your own sadhana. You might come out with so many more things that can be done in order to become more and more mindful. But these are some things that I could put together to help us to focus more and become more mindful in our day-to-day lives and to be able to practice mindfulness better. So the first sutra is to be completely in the present moment, and the second sutra is to be mindful, is to become one with the activity that you're doing in the present moment. So whatever activity you're doing, you are now going to be completely become one with it. Like you can see, say a Formula One racing driver, he's completely one with the driving, the vehicle, the whole sport, the movement, everything. It's like there is no difference between the person, the driver, and the car and his environment. It's like he has completely become one with all that. An archer, the bow, the arrow, the target, the whole field, everything feels like it's become one and he has merged with that. There are a person, a very graceful horse rider, feels like he has actually become one with the animal, the horse and the person and everything. It's like the whole thing becomes so gracefully merged into one. So that's how you need to become when you're doing your work. Feel completely one with the work. The third sutra is to be mindful is to anchor yourself in your essence. So we looked at being in the present moment, completely focusing on the activity at the present moment. We looked at how you become one with that and how to anchor yourself in your own essence. Because your essence is not what you see on the outside. What you see on the outside is just the physical aspects and the reality that you are manifesting for yourself. But your true essence is something else. Like, you are not the body, you're not your emotions, you're not your mind, you're not your thoughts. You're something much deeper than that, and that's your true essence. So you need to anchor yourself in your essence. So while you're doing any work that you're doing, you also need to anchor yourself in your inner essence. And that is the third sutra. To be mindful is to anchor yourself in your essence. So I found this wonderful photograph which I had taken a few years ago when the Saraswati Lake was completely full, and there was these wonderful weaver birds which had made these beautiful nests in the on the trees around the Saraswati Lake, and you can just look at how they are completely connected to their essence. They are rooted. The nest, which is their home, is completely made out of the environment. Just the things that they pick up from the environment, things that we can't even recognize, and we just feel they're all like just scrap pieces of grass or things like that. And they break these beautiful nests from that, and that is fixed so wonderfully, completely out of reach to humans. It's very difficult to even reach them because they are put on the side which is on the water side, which you can't enter, and especially on the side where there is very deep water, where you can't get in from that side and pull out those nests. And not only are they protecting themselves, but they also use the the universe's, the nature, everything that is provided by nature to give them that security. And they root themselves completely into their essence. They completely anchor themselves into their essence. And that's why they're so unshakable, so very strong about what is happening. So this is the to be mindful is to anchor yourself in your essence. This is the third sutra. And then we have the fourth sutra, that is, to be mindful is to always be in the flow like a river. We need to always be in the flow. While the work should be like a flow, there should be no stoppages, blockages, like a wonderful flow. Does the river ever stop saying, okay, now I'm going to stop flowing and I'll take a break and I'm going to start flowing again after some time? So you just need to be in that wonderful, beautiful flow, always flowing and not being afraid. When the river is flowing, suddenly it comes across a huge mountain. Does it get scared of that? So it keeps on battering the mountain. It makes a hole through the mountain. It carves a valley through the mountain. Or even if there are boulders, time and again it would hit against these boulders and it would smash them into tiny, tiny, tiny pieces. And finally it becomes like sand, and eventually it becomes like soil. But it's relentlessly, the only way it happens is that it never stops flowing. And that's the fourth sutra. To be mindful is to always be in the flow like a river. You always have to just keep flowing and flowing. And in the work also which you're doing, be in the present moment, completely be connected, become one with it. That's the second sutra. The third one is that you need to be rooted or anchored in your essence. And the fourth sutra is always keep flowing in the work. The way you do things, you need to be in the flow. So that's the fourth sutra. The fifth sutra is to be mindful is to always follow your dharma. Now, friends, what do you mean by following your dharma? Dharma are your physical responsibilities. In your life, you have certain responsibilities, certain things, certain choices that you made. And among those choices, you have certain duties to perform. Your duty as a parent, your duty as a sibling, your duty as a friend, your duty as a member of a particular sangha. These are all your duties, all become your dharma. And you need to follow your dharma. Unfortunately, sometimes spirituality becomes an escape. We say that, yeah, I'm busy, I'm meditating, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And we tend to neglect our real life situations. We tend to neglect our real life works, those are our dharma. So the fifth sutra is about following your dharma. So you have to be in the flow, which is the fourth sutra, and at the same time, you also have to follow your dharma, which is to the material aspects. You have to give equal balance You have to work in a balanced way with the material aspects of life as well as the spiritual aspects of life. Ignoring neither, you have to work on both and do both in a perfectly balanced manner. And that's the fifth one is always follow your dharma. To be mindful is to always follow your dharma. The sixth sutra is to be mindful is to be in service. Now, understand that any work that you do, whatever work that you do in the physical plane, it is actually a service to someone. Something may be a service to yourself. If you're eating, you're actually serving yourself because you're serving the interest of your own health. You're serving the interest of your own nourishment. So let us say you're doing some exercise, then you're serving the needs of your body to stay healthy. So anything, any activity that you do without exception is a service. But we are not aware that it is a service. So the sixth sutra is to be mindful is to be aware that it is a service. You become aware that yes, what I'm doing now is a service to myself, or it is a service to my family, or it is a service to society, or it is a much larger service which affects the whole world. But be aware of the service, not from an ego standpoint saying that I am doing this, I'm doing something very great. It's not that way, but be completely aware that whatever you're doing is nothing but a service, whether it's to yourself, to your family, to your extended family, to your nation, to now to the world, wherever it is a service. So you need to be aware that it's a service. It makes you more humble. It makes you more involved in the activity that you're doing because you know that this work that I'm doing, who is it going to benefit? Who are the people who are going to benefit from this work that I'm doing? And that will actually take that work to a completely different dimension altogether. So that's the sixth sutra. To be mindful is to be in service. And finally, the seventh sutra is to be mindful, is to continuously expand your awareness. Always be in that state where you're allowing your awareness to expand more and more and more, to become much vaster. Like this book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and that seagull which always wanted to expand its awareness beyond the ordinary, beyond the normal, going way beyond more and more, going deeper and deeper and much broader awareness. And you always need to seek higher and higher awareness. Even in the work that you're doing, try to become more aware of the work that you're doing, more aware of what exactly you're doing, the nuances of that work, the more intricacies of the work that you're doing, rather than doing it just mechanically. So even if you're doing the work of sweeping the house, you every time you do it, you will be able to improve that, take that work to a completely next level. And that can happen only through this practice of mindfulness. And in mindfulness, when you're following these seven sutras, and particularly the seventh sutra in which you're allowing your awareness to expand, you're seeking always higher and more expanded awareness. That's how you start refining and taking your work to a next higher and higher levels. And that is the seventh sutra. So, friends, if you have any questions, I'm now open to questions. You can ask your questions in the comments box, and after that, we will then begin a meditation. Thank you, friends. So, any questions about the seven sutras or about mindfulness or everything that we have spoken? Yes. So yeah. Can you explain mindlessness a bit more? Okay. Mindlessness comes from being unaware. When you are completely with your awareness and focus, then it becomes mindfulness. Any work you're doing. Like again, we go back to Buddha's statement, eat while you eat, walk while you walk. So if you eat with awareness and you're completely focused on the eating, it becomes a mindful eating. But when you're not focused on the eating and you eat, what actually happens is mindless eating. We tend to overeat. We tend to eat because we have not relished what we're eating. And because we've not relished what we're eating, and it's only the few times when you're aware of what you're eating that you actually relish the taste, you tend to eat much more quantity than you actually need. And you're not even aware of what your body is trying to tell you. Your body may be telling you that it's had enough, but you're still not doing. I've taken the example of eating because it's a very common problem. People are eating mindlessly because they are not being mindful when they're eating. I hope that answers your question. Yes. How do we include mindfulness in such places? One second. Purna was asking a thing like about multitasking, and sometimes it is becoming necessary to do multitasking. But actually, if you focus on the work at any point of time, the exact work you're doing, you don't have 10 hands. You can do only those, use your two hands to do a certain activity at that point of time. And while you're doing that work, there is no need to think of something else. You need to develop the kind of mindfulness where when you're doing that work, you're focusing only on that work. And after that, it may take only 2 minutes to do that work. You stop that and then you finish that and then you go to the next work, then put your complete focus on the next work. So, in effect, to someone looking from the outside, this looks like multitasking, and in a way, you can call it multitasking because in a certain time frame, let us say a 1 hour time, you may get several works done in that 1 hour. But what you're actually doing is segment by segment, you're doing one mindful segment after another. So in those 2 minutes of work, you're being completely mindful. The next work is 10 minutes, you're being completely mindful on that 10 minutes work. And then again, the next 5 minutes, maybe another work, but that's how you do it. If you're doing this and then at the same time focused on something else, the chances of doing this wrong increase dramatically, as we all know. This won't go well, it won't go efficient, and but somehow we got used to it. We have become compulsive in our thinking while we're doing this work and obsessing about other works while we're doing a particular work, knowing fully well at a deeper level that this obsessing and thinking about other works while you're doing this work is not going to make any difference to that work, and it's also going to ruin the work that you're doing at this point of time. Yeah, I didn't get this question about how do we include mindfulness in such places. Which places are we talking about? What is the difference between mindfulness and being alert? When you are mindful, you're automatically alert. Yeah, you're automatically alert when you're being mindful. That was the question was. What is the difference between mindfulness and being alert? Mindfulness comes from a state of complete awareness, and alertness is also a state of complete awareness. So, in a way, there's hardly any difference, but we prefer to use the mindfulness because it is a far more expansive term. It's not just alertness, just shows that you're trying to focus on something with something like a cautious approach, but mindfulness is a far more expansive term. It indicates complete focus and complete awareness and complete being in the present moment. How do we follow mindfulness during multitasking? Like I said, in multitasking, you're not really multitasking. You're doing one activity, you're thinking about some other activity, but you do that other activity only when the time for that activity comes. You can't do it while you're doing this activity. So it is an illusion. Multitasking is actually an illusion, and everyone promotes that illusion that I do a lot of multitasking and I'm doing all these works together. But if you really look into the essence of it, you go in and break it down into the individual minutes and seconds of the works that you're doing. At any given point of time, you're doing only one work, you're not doing the other works. So, yeah. So Yapi Peng asked that how can you link mindfulness like a river flow? Mindfulness, a river, because it keeps flowing, it's completely aware of itself and its action that it is doing at that point of time. Now, if you stop, suppose it comes to a rock and it starts thinking, why did this rock come here? What am I supposed to do now? And how am I supposed to do this? And then it goes into the past stories, and then it goes into the future anxieties and tensions and other things. So that is shifting out of the present moment. But a river never does that. It just keeps flowing because it only knows how to flow. The same way, you only need to be aware of what to do in that present moment and continue with that. And that is like a flow. Okay, how to expand awareness? How to expand awareness is to increase your modes of perception. Right now, we are only dependent on our 5 physical senses to get all the information that we get, just the 5 physical senses. But we have so many more extrasensory perceptions that we have, our inner senses, and these are our non-physical senses. Through meditation, through dreams, through so many other spiritual practices, you get intuition and you get insights, and all these will expand your awareness. They'll make you know 1,000 times more than what you can get from just your 5 physical senses. And the spiritual practices are what you need to do. And in your work, when you start practicing mindfulness, automatically your awareness starts expanding. Thank you for asking that question. So yes, Purna is asking, is it bringing small chunks of work into a wholeness? It is like breaking down. If, let us say there is one large work in which only certain part of it can be done at this point of time. Let's say 5 steps to that work, and at this point of time I can do only step 1. So you completely focus on step 1 and be completely mindful about the work of step 1, and after that you shift out of that and you're going into the next work, and then you start doing that work. So after maybe an hour or so, again you come to step 2 of the first work. So you're actually segmenting your work. So you become more aware of how you're segmenting the work. And maybe, yeah, the word you used is bringing it into small chunks, which is another way of putting it. And maybe I would use the term segmenting. You segment all the works that you do. And in every segment, you're completely aware of that particular work. So is mindfulness doing small chunks? Yes, I explained that. It is about the, yes, one more question. When we talk on phone, drive or listen to some audio and do washing dishes, it appears to be multitasking. Can you please explain these? These are multitasking in this aspect. Okay. It is not multitasking because you're not actually working when you're listening to music. You're just receiving, you're just observing. In just the same way as you drive, your primary work is driving. But while you're driving, there are a lot of things that you see on the road, and it is necessary also to see other vehicles on the road, because you need to avoid those vehicles. Sometimes you need to overtake those vehicles. So you need to have an awareness of what is happening around there, and also the different sounds. Somebody may be honking from behind, somebody, there may be some siren coming from in the front, there's an ambulance coming from somewhere. So all these are the different sensory inputs that you're getting. Now in this case, the music is also an added sensory input. It's just the sensory input that is coming from your ears, and it is going in. All you need to do is observe, but you can't start engaging with that completely and getting involved and start thinking about it, because your thought process has to be on your driving at that point of time. So there, if you are going into something, or let us say you start talking on phone, and then while you're driving, or even it may be a Bluetooth, but you're talking, and then your mind is engaged completely in that, and you get very involved in that. So what happens is that however good and experienced a driver you are, your driving is definitely going to get affected. And there is a reason why the lawmakers have said that you should not do this. You should not talk and drive at the same time. You should not talk on your phone and drive at the same time, because you will not be able to give your attention to the main task on hand, which is the driving. So I hope that question has been answered. Yes. Yeah. And any other questions? So, friends, I'm sure that you will find these 7 sutras quite useful, some of which you may be already aware of, some of which uh, may be some new insights that you're getting with how to practice this. And I'm sure that you will be able to really increase your mindfulness, your level of mindfulness, and expand your awareness through the practice of these 7 sutras of mindfulness. And also, by understanding the difference between mindfulness and meditation, you will be able to practice both separately. Sometimes people practice something which is like a mindfulness exercise and they say, yes, I have meditated. So that's not correct, because meditation is different and mindfulness is different. So if you're doing a mindfulness exercise, it is good to develop your mindfulness, but it is not a substitute for meditation. Meditation is emptying the mind completely, whereas mindfulness is focusing your mind on the given activity on hand. So they are two different things, but yes, they are interrelated to the extent that if you develop your mindfulness more and more, your meditation quality also starts improving, because you have brought your mind to focus on one thing instead of focusing on thousands of things at the same time and trying to go here and there, running helter skelter. You're bringing it to one, and from there you're now bringing it to zero, which is first to focus. You use this practice of mindfulness to first focus on the breath. Okay. And that's where this misnomer of mindfulness meditation has come, because it is using mindfulness of the breath is as a induction into meditation, which is what we all do. What is anapanasati is nothing but using the breath as a way, using mindfulness of the breath. You're breathing mindfully, you're completely focusing your awareness on the breath, and you're not doing anything else other than just observing the breath. And when you're doing that, the thoughts automatically go down to zero, and there's nothing else. You go into that completely zero state, no mind state, and that's when meditation happens. That's why, like Osho says, meditation is not done, it happens. And when does it happen? When you allow it to happen. And how do you allow it to happen? You allow it to happen by focusing on the breath and just observing the breath, and slowly thoughts start dropping away. And when you come to a zero thought state completely, meditation then happens. Yes. So now let us just take a, a few minutes break, a 2-3 minute break, and then we will come back to do meditation. We will also do a small exercise on mindfulness, and then we will do a proper anapanasati guided meditation. So let's come back in exactly 3 minutes time. So, welcome back, friends. So, let's now do one small mindfulness exercise for which I want you to take some kind of a prop. Maybe you could take a minute to bring it. It could be a watch or something which has probably a seconds dial, preferably a seconds hand, because some of the watches don't have the seconds hand, or something which is uh, which has its own movement, an analog watch perhaps, or even if it's a digital watch, something where the display is continuously moving, or otherwise you can probably create a clock, use a clock app or something on your phone, on your mobile phone, something which has a seconds movement. And I want you to open that and open it to a app in which you can see the seconds hand, or maybe on your computer screen you can open the clock app, and the one in which there's this analog clock and you have the seconds hand moving. And I want you to look at that completely focused only on that, on nothing else. For 3 minutes, just want you to look at that movement every second, how it's ticking, how it's moving 1 second to the next second. And during this time, if you get thoughts, the way in meditation you say to yourself that if I get any thoughts, I must come back to the focus of breathing. Instead, here, what you need to do is say that I need to just focus on looking at these seconds hand moving on this clock. And for the next 3 minutes, I'm going to be doing only that and nothing else. No other thoughts. Stay completely focused on that activity. And then look at all the nuances, look at the screen, look at what is happening. Don't think, don't engage in thought. Just receive these as inputs. Just be an observer, like you're just a witness who's not thinking, who's just receiving the inputs from what is happening out there. No thoughts, just focus on that. That's all. Yes, there is a question. I'll answer that as well. Now, it is, does mindfulness require us to sometimes take a pause or slow down the pace of life? First, it requires you to identify your priorities in life and take up those works which are the highest priorities first in the order of priority, and do each and every work that you do mindfully with full heart and soul. And when you do this, automatically your life, the pace of your life, will neither slow down nor will it go faster, but it will, what I call, regulate. It will regulate to become in sync with your higher purpose. It will regulate to become in sync with what is good for you and for your life. Hope that answers your question. Thank you for asking. So, friends, yes. So, let us now begin this exercise. 3 minutes of watching the clock or watch the seconds hand, watch the movement, and completely for 3 minutes, and look at every aspect of the movement. If it is analog watch which has some other movements and things, some other specific movements, or what they call as complications. Look at all those complications that are moving around and what is happening. And but no other thoughts of any other activity, no going into the past, no going into the future. Every time this happens, you check yourself and again go back to the task of looking at those seconds hand moving and the clock, whether it's a physical one or on your computer screen or on your mobile phone, wherever it is. Another 2 minutes. Last 1 minute. Okay. So we'll share experiences after the Anapanasati meditation, and now we're going to do one Anapanasati meditation. After that, we'll share experiences for both this exercise as well as the Anapanasati meditation that we're going to do now. So just take out your spectacles if you have any, and sit in a comfortable posture. Sit comfortably, clasp your hands like this, interlock your fingers and keep them in your lap. If you're sitting on the floor, then you can sit cross-legged, and if you're sitting in the chair, you can keep your feet without any footwear touching the floor and crossing your feet at the ankles. Close your eyes and just observe your breath. Observe how your breath is going in and how it's going out. At this point of time, you have nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just observe how your breath is coming in and how it's going out. And if you get any thoughts, just say to yourself that at this point of time, my only work is to observe my breath, to watch my breath, and to witness my breath. Just be a witness. Be in the here and now. Be in the present moment, fully aware of your breath. Become one with your breath. It's as if there is no difference between you and your breath. You are just one. Feel your breath in every part of your body. Just feel it entering each and every cell of your being. You're inseparable from your breath. Again, if you get any thoughts, just look at those thoughts as an observer from a distance. Look at them as if they're just events which are happening and you're observing those events. And return completely to the awareness of your breath, awareness of your in-breath and out-breath, and be completely with the breath. Become one with the breath. And when you are with your breath, and you become one with your breath, you are completely aware of what is happening in your body. And as you continue to be in the present moment and be aware and become one with the breath, you go into something much deeper. You can begin to sense your emotions. You go deeper than the body sensations, and now you can sense your emotions. Just allow your breath to take you still deeper, deeper than your emotions. And there you will find that you connect to some of your intellectual concepts, ideas, but that is not you. You are not the body, you are not the emotions, you are not your intellect. Allow your breath to take you still deeper, still deeper. As you go beyond the body, beyond the emotions, beyond the intellect and mind, now you will touch something which is pure nothingness. No thoughts, no you, total emptiness, total silence, total peace, calmness. And use your breath to connect you to that deeper aspect of yourself, which is your true essence. The deeper aspect which is beyond body, beyond mind, emotions and intellect. The pure essence of who you are. Your breath is like the chain with the anchor, and your breath anchors you into the essence of who you are. Like a ship which is in a storm, going here and there, but once it drops anchor, it stays steady at one place. So when you anchor yourself in your true essence, you can withstand all the storms that life throws up. Just stay with that essence. 10 minutes. Just let us be fully anchored in our essence. Last 5 minutes. Last 4 minutes. Last 3 minutes. Last 2 minutes. Last 1 minute. Last 30 seconds. Fifteen seconds more. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. You can rub your palms. Gently place your fingers on your eyes. And then slowly, slowly open your eyes. Would anyone like to share their experiences, please? Any questions or sharing? Just sharing the comments on the display so that you can see them. Thank you all for the sharing, and if you all have any questions, you can ask, or anything related to. Can anyone share about the mindfulness exercise of watching the clock and the seconds hand for 3 minutes? Any new insights or anything that you could experience, or any doubts about that? Yes, Shivkumar is asking that generally for beginners, how much do you recommend to spend on meditation and mindfulness? Anapanasati meditation, you must meditate at a stretch for 1 minute for every year of your age. So if your age is 30, then 30 minutes at a stretch, 40, then 40 minutes at a stretch. And mindfulness is something that you need to practice every waking moment of your life. Everything, every activity that you're doing, you need to practice mindfulness. So there is no time for mindfulness because all your waking time, you need to be mindful. And meditation, yes, 1 minute for every year of your age, done continuously. And it can be at any time of the day. Could be morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time works best for you. Yes, Preeti, that's a very significant sharing about the mindfulness exercise. You felt that your mind does not need thousands of other things and you only have one simple task of watching the seconds ticking away. And that is exactly what you need to apply in your day to day life. Whatever task you have taken up at that point of time, completely focus only on that, just the same way as you were focusing on that seconds hand ticking and watching that for 3 minutes. Just do the same thing. And as you do this, your mindfulness levels keep increasing, your stress levels go down drastically, your quality of meditation improves, and as a result, your quality of your life itself improves. Yes, and you also got this insight that you'll be less stressful if you practice this, and that's very nice. And Gaurav also felt that it was centering and bringing to the moment. It's very nice. Thank you all for sharing. And one more query, Mr. Shukmar. Yes, you can go on. Any recommended books on mindfulness? Yes, on mindfulness, one of the best authors is the Vietnamese Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh is one of the best books on mindfulness, and there are many others. There is Shunro Suzuki, and this book called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. It's a very good book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. In fact, I think I have a copy of the book here with me. I will just show it so that you can all have a look at this. This is the book. Okay. I hope you can watch it clearly. Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Shunro Suzuki. Okay, this is another highly recommended book on mindfulness. And also books by Thich Nhat Hanh. Yes, Preeti, you have asked one question. I mean, you wanted to ask something. You can show yes. Meanwhile, we'll look at the other questions. Yeah, received blessings from the celestial space, and thank you very much for your sharing. That's wonderful. And yes, Preeti is asking that some of the activities that I may be doing find boring, say walking or cutting vegetables, my mind begins to wander. Uh, yes. So walking is a beautiful activity. If you find it boring, then do it in an environment which is interesting, like in the middle of nature where you have a lot of trees and other things around. And when you being mindful doesn't mean not observing. So when you're walking in a park and you have so many trees and birds and so many animals and other things around and you're watching nature, you can watch, but don't think anything. Just be an observer. Just observe what is happening and just go deep into the observation of what is there. Our conditioning has become such that in our society, we have forgotten to observe, and everything that we look at, we begin to start thinking and analyzing about it. That's not required actually. What we should learn is the pure art of observation. which is called the art of seeing. Actually see things as they are, see deeply into what they are, and then that does not involve any thought process. So, and it is such a joyful experience. So your experience of walking or any of these boring activities becomes so much more interesting when you actually observe deeply what is happening around you in that without any thought process. And thank you for asking. Yes, yeah, Tishnathan, present moment, wonderful moment. That's a book. Yes, wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, Pipeng, that's very nice. So, thank you, friends. And any other questions? We can take one or two questions and then we can close for today. It was nice having you all for this wonderful class on mindfulness, the art and practice of mindfulness. And I really enjoyed presenting this to you all. Yes, that is true, Preeti. It will definitely come with practice, but you have the understanding, and that makes it much easier to practice. And you will be able to go deeper into more mindful state, more aware state, and and you can see how that works for you. So, friends, once again, thank you for attending this class. Wish you all a belated International Happiness Day, but understand that every day, every moment is a moment of happiness. You just have to find that within you, practice mindfulness, and you can really become the happiest person on earth. Thank you once again. Goodbye. And you're most welcome to share these links with your friends for those of them who have missed the live class. This is going to be available online, offline on YouTube as well as Facebook. So they can definitely view it from any of these sources. Thank you very much and bye.